You are not in danger right now. Your body does not believe that. Somewhere in the architecture of your nervous system right now at this exact moment, a very old and very serious system is quietly running a threat assessment. It is scanning, checking, logging the sound from the hallway, the shadow that moved at the edge of your vision, the slight tension in the room that you cannot quite name. You did not ask it to do this. You cannot tell it to stop. It has been doing this for so much longer than you have been alive that the two of you have simply learned to share the same body. You call it anxiety. You call it stress. You call it a bad feeling you cannot explain. Your ancestors called it survival. The system has a name, the amygdala. Two small almond-shaped clusters of neurons buried deep inside your brain, one on each side, operating below the level of conscious thought. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux at New York University spent decades mapping the amygdala and found something that should stop you cold. The fear signal your amygdala generates travels to your body faster than it travels to your conscious mind. Read that again. Your body is already reacting before you know what you are reacting to. Your heart rate spikes, your pupils dilate, your muscles prime for movement. And only then, a fraction of a second later, does the thinking part of your brain receive the message and begin to work out what is happening. You are always, always behind the alarm. Now go back 200,000 years. You are a human being on the African savanna and the world is trying to kill you in ways that are extremely varied and creative. Predators, rival groups, snakes hidden in grass, strangers whose intentions you cannot read, infections from wounds, contaminated water, falling, drowning, starvation. Every single day is a layered negotiation with a planet that does not particularly care whether you make it to tomorrow. In that world, one cognitive style survives better than all the others, not the most accurate, not the most rational, the most paranoid. If you hear a sound in the grass and you assume predator, you lose nothing by being wrong. You startle, you run, you waste a few seconds of energy. But if you hear a sound in the grass and you assume nothing, and you are wrong, you are dead. Your genes do not continue, your children do not exist. Evolution does not reward calm, correct assessments. It rewards the ones who assume the worst and live to regret the overreaction. This is what psychologist Daniel Kahneman would later call the asymmetry of loss. The cost of a false alarm is almost always smaller than the cost of a missed threat. Your brain did not develop this bias by accident. It was selected for, generation by generation, across hundreds of thousands of years, in a world where threats were real and constant and often fatal. You inherited that brain. You brought it into a world where the threats are almost entirely different, and it is still running the old software. Think about what that actually means day to day. You receive a short message from someone that says only, "We need to talk." Your amygdala fires before you have finished reading the sentence. Your chest tightens. Your mind immediately begins constructing worst-case scenarios. You are being fired. Someone is angry. Something is wrong. Your body is already in a low-grade threat state before you have any actual information about what the message means. The ancient machinery has classified uncertainty as a category of danger because in the ancestral environment, uncertainty often was dangerous. A stranger whose intentions you could not read was a genuine physical threat. Your brain never got the update that says most uncertainty is now just mildly annoying rather than life-threatening. Or consider the way your attention moves in a room. Psychologist Arne Ullman at the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm ran a series of experiments in which he showed people grids of faces and objects and measured how quickly they detected threatening stimuli versus neutral ones. Angry faces in a crowd of happy faces were detected faster than happy faces in a crowd of angry faces, by a significant margin. Your visual system is not scanning the environment neutrally. It is pre-configured to find threats first, to find the thing that might hurt you before it finds the things that will not. You walk into a party and your brain has already cataloged the two people who look tense before you have consciously noticed anyone smiling. This is not a flaw. In the savannah, it was a life-saving feature. At a party, it makes you subtly, inexplicably uncomfortable in a room full of people who mean you no harm. Now go deeper. Because the threat detection system does not only respond to physical danger, it responds to social danger too, and this is where things get genuinely strange. Your ancestors did not survive alone. Survival required the group. Being excluded from the group, rejected, cast out, was not merely unpleasant. It was a potential death sentence. You cannot hunt large prey alone. You cannot protect your children alone. You cannot survive a bad winter alone. The group was survival, which means social rejection was existential threat. And your brain, which could not afford to treat these two categories differently, began processing them through the same system. Neuroscientist Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA ran a deceptively simple study in which participants played a virtual ball-tossing game while lying in a brain scanner. At some point, the other players stopped throwing the ball to them. They were socially excluded by a computer game. The areas of the brain that activated during this exclusion were the same areas that process physical pain. The anterior cingulate cortex lit up in both cases. Social rejection and physical injury share neural architecture. When someone leaves you on red, when you are not invited, when you sense that someone in the room does not like you, your brain is not being dramatic. It is processing a genuine threat signal through machinery that was built to handle predators and starvation. This is why social anxiety is not irrational, it is hyper-rational. It is an ancient system doing exactly what it was designed to do in a context where the actual stakes are almost never as high as the signal suggests. And then there is the modern amplification of all of it. You now live in a world that has learned, with extraordinary precision, exactly how to trigger your threat detection system for profit. News cycles are curated not for accuracy but for activation. The stories that cause the highest amygdala response are the stories that get watched the longest. Outrage keeps you on the page. Fear keeps you scrolling. The comment section is a social rejection simulation running continuously at scale. Your ancient threat assessment machinery, built to handle the occasional genuinely dangerous moment on the savannah, is now being pinged hundreds of times a day by a system that has reverse-engineered exactly what makes it fire. You are not imagining that the world feels more threatening than it used to. Your nervous system is being deliberately, systematically activated far beyond anything it was designed to sustain. But here is the part that changes everything. Knowing the machinery exists is the first step to not being completely at its mercy. Neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett at Northeastern University has spent her career studying how the brain constructs emotional experience and argues that your brain is not a passive receiver of threat signals. It is a prediction machine. It is constantly building models of what is likely to happen next and adjusting its responses based on those models. And the models can be updated, not easily, not quickly, and not without effort, but they can be updated. When your chest tightens because of an ambiguous text message, your conscious mind can recognize that the signal is disproportionate. It cannot stop the signal from firing, but it can decline to act on it as though the threat were real. It can pause. It can wait for actual information. It can understand that it is experiencing a 200,000-year-old alarm system responding to a situation that alarm system was never designed for. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not uniquely anxious or unusually fragile. You are a very old kind of creature living in a very new kind of world, carrying a threat detection system that kept your ancestors alive through conditions that would end most modern lives in days. The alarm is ancient. The danger is usually not. And tonight, when something tightens in your chest for a reason you cannot quite name, you will know what it is. It is the same system that heard the sound in the grass 200,000 years ago. It saved everything that eventually became you. It just never learned to tell the difference between a predator and a push notification.